to share our inspiration about REDhealth and about all the things we want to share in information medicine. So I'm very happy that you have the time to talk us through.
Yeah, we'll plan for about an hour, and then I would like to be outside in the sunshine and enjoy the blue sky.
Yeah, so am I. So I want to say to everyone who is listening and who is looking, enjoy and see if this is something which you want to share for yourself or use for yourself, and whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share a screen now. It takes some time. Rainer, can you see the screen right now?
No, not yet.
Not yet. And now?
No.
Okay, then something is... I already thought so.
You should probably not start screen sharing. Maybe this is already the screen that I see anyway. Start the presentation. Is that something that will work?
Let's see.
Yes, that looks good.
Okay.
That looks good. It says, please wait while the presenter loads their screen. Yeah. Turning circle. I see a desktop.
Yeah, then we're in. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can see the presentation?
Yes.
Good. Good.
Yeah, it's there.
So this is the pathway we want to share with you all. And let's see where the path will lead us. The talk which we want to have is about REDhealth and how to use it in 2020 to become a smile, and a smile not only in yourself, but in the same language everywhere. What do you think, Rainer?
Yeah, that looks pretty good. And yeah, I think REDhealth these days is something that gives us more stability on our path through these kind of crazy times. And yes, let's move on.
Let's move on. Some years ago, together with Bruce and Rainer, we decided to bring in a new device which is called REDhealth. And during these years, we created something which we want to share, which makes you to stay calm and relaxed, whatever happens. And even in a time like this, when a virus is conquering the world, then it's very good that you have something which creates you to stay calm and relaxed, whatever happens.
And energize.
And of course, energize yourself. Yeah, and that's maybe you can tell a little bit about this, how it energizes you.
Oh yes, our body is, a complex, very complex electromagnetically controlled system, and we are in constant exchange of energy with the environment. And this environment is the air, it is the radiation that comes from the sun, it's the radiation that comes from space, It is the field of the Earth. It's the gravity field. It's the magnetic field, the static magnetic field. It's the Schumann frequencies, the atmospherics. It's our food. It's what we create with our exercises and all these things. And of course, when we are in that environment all the time, there are some patterns which have a destructive effect on our nice and harmonious system. Life is characterized by exploring things, so we are not only always in harmony. We leave that harmonious state, but we have to come back to it. And when we expose ourselves too much to disrupting, distorting energy and information, whatever that is, it may be artificial EMF, or it may be even too much exercise, or it may be too much sitting or eating the wrong things. We have to come back to the harmonious state and reconnect with everything that surrounds us. And the CB device is something that brings us back on our path, and then we can re-energize from our environment.
Sounds good. Chaos. There is a lot of chaos in the world right now. This picture says what Deepak Chopra also says: all great changes are preceded by chaos. So we need chaos to create something new.
Yeah, it's always the same thing. If you want to rearrange your room, you have to bring the old stuff out and get new stuff in. And everybody knows moving house is always a little bit disruptive before a new order is created. Everyone, the good part of the world and the bad guys of the world, they use the same principle because it's a cosmic principle.
Yeah. That's true. Can you tell something about this picture?
Oh yeah, I like to, because this is a very important frequency, the 7.83 hertz, which is one of the so-called extremely low frequency, and it was discovered by a physicist called Schumann in Munich. I think it was in the 50s, and it's a very constant frequency that belongs to the atmosphere of the Earth, and in which all life has evolved. And many organs, especially in our brain structures, such as the hippocampus, and this is quite, and maybe this is a new information, because we always said it's the pineal gland, it's the pituitary gland, but it's also the hippocampus that is resonating to 7.83 hertz. And the hippocampus, where it belongs to the limbic system, forms a cavity, and this seems to be charged by even that frequency as well. So it's very important for our mood and autonomic nervous system function.
And the 7.8 hertz, is this a frequency with information which is sent out by the REDhealth?
Yeah, of course. That's what I just wanted to say. All our REDhealth devices used this frequency. Not all the time, but it always reminds the body of sync to that Earth frequency.
Great, thank you. There is, of course, a lot of efforts in this device, And can you tell a little bit about not only this picture, but also about how it's created, what's in it?
Yeah, the inventor of this device is our friend Bruce here in the UK, Bruce Robertson. And he had the idea because he always wanted to help children and people with autistic problems. So he wanted to support all kinds of people with a small device which they can use every day. And he created and he decided that he wanted to have a small PEMF emitting device, that is pulsed electromagnetic field. And of course, to do that, you need to have a little coil, and you have to have a frequency generator, and you have to have a control unit, and then you want to modulate the frequencies to put more information onto every wave that is emitted, and you need a little bit of a processor, a little bit of a computer part in it, to tell the device when it should emit what kind of frequencies with which modulation. And then Bruce also decided it would be nice if we could scan the body field and ask the body field about what kind of frequency and information to support the Meridian system it would like the most. So he needed to invent how we could call it a quantum resonance system that can talk to the body field. So now we can personalize the device, and there are two little crystals inside the device which sync to each other when there is a body field response. So there's quite a lot of electronics in the device, PCB, a battery. He made it waterproof and
shock resistant,
from being dropped down, and all these things. And what's important as well is that it's not made in a big factory as a mass product. So every case is, at the moment at least, is 3D printed, and every case has a little bit a different texture on it. And what Bruce also wanted is, by doing these many steps of manufacturing, like make it a little bit like handmade, it would have also all the love of the creators embedded. And what I especially also like is it has a shape that in itself, by its physical shape, provides life energy, subtle life energy, just by the egg shape, or just by the shape when you turn it on top. It looks like the uterus of a pregnant woman, in which a baby grows with lots of life energy.
We will see it later on in the presentation, how it looks. Well, I think you like physics too, and of course it's fun, but it's also very difficult for a lot of people. But what I want to ask you is to guide us through some specific parts of where PEMF is working about, and also where fractals and all that sort of stuff is working about. So let's move on to the first part. That we see not only the device, but we can also see some fractals and some information fields which are sent out by this device. It looks a little bit like this.
It's a big question, Emmerich, and I guess I could talk about it 2 or 3 days if we want to. But our body is you could call our body working electric. So there is always a lot of charge. So we know the membrane potential. We measure the waves of the heart and the magnetic field of the heart. We can measure the current flowing in the brain and nervous system, but there's current in every cell. Of course, it's a very small voltage and it's a very small amperage, but it's very, very sensitive to everything that happens, and the complexity of it is just amazing. And of course, by this, we will react to electromagnetic fields that are created in the environment, because every magnetic field is changing the intensity of current flow. So we all know that when you have an electric motor, we create a rotating magnetic field, and that creates electrons, moving electrons, and create current. So everything is interacting with each other, but there is a really great balance and harmony that is kept stable for 100 years in our organism. So that's just amazing. And every cell is the building block of every organ. Organs are the building blocks of the whole body. So there are things smaller and smaller embedded into each other, which is a fractal system. And this also means that things are self-similar. So we everywhere in the body we find the representation of the whole system. That's why we can do ear acupuncture, we can do tongue diagnostics, and we can do heart rate variability, and see what's going on in the whole body. And when we apply electromagnetic fields to any part of the body, the whole body will react to it.
Okay. And does it look like a little bit like this?
We could, yeah, I don't know. This is when a coil emits a pulsing electromagnetic field. It's just pulses which work in a kind of a 360-degree manner. This would look like a magnetic field around the coil, so it may look a little bit like that, and it's pulsating.
Yeah.
It's pulsing, and our heart field looks a little bit the same. And the patterns that you can see here on the back of the cover, so when we see this as a jewelry kind of thing, it looks a little bit like the inner part of a blossom of a flower. And I remember well, it's showing the pattern of 13 to 8 dots that spiral around each other. And the 13 to 8 ratio is a ratio that is part of the Fibonacci series. And this is something how nature arranged itself in growth processes for the reason of informational backup. So it's a kind of recursive structure which is used everywhere in nature. And it also provides, because it approximates the golden ratio at the end. So 13 per 8 is nearly the golden ratio already. It also creates a very harmonious structure.
Thank you. This is where you were talking about fractals. If we go on, a fractal like this.
Yeah, this is an example of a fractal.
It's a self-repeating something.
Which is one of the simplest fractals. How it is created, at least. That's why structures like this can be found often in nature. It's not the only fractal. There is one that is much simpler. We find this in what is called the global scaling theory. And that's because this is when we have this image, it's a two-dimensional fractal. Nature, of course, uses 3 dimensions and 4 and 5 dimensions. But the simplest fractal is a one-dimensional fractal that is used in the universe as well. It's a little bit hidden in the informational field. This could be something we talk about later, because the effects that the fractal creates are the basic building structures of our bodies.
Okay, we will talk about it later.
Yeah.
Yes. You talked about all the environment which is distorting our body field, and that we need to find the harmony again.
Yeah.
And of course, we have lots of ways of doing this, by yoga, by meditation, by eating some stuff which is healthy. But
Right.
there's also something which is your subconscious level. And is the REDhealth working on the subconscious level or the conscious level?
I think it will have an effect on both of it. The subconscious level is one which can, or which not only can, but which operates with much bigger amounts of information than the conscious level. And because the body is a multi-dimensional system, a multi-scaling system, and it's a fractal scale, of course, and we were talking about the self-similarity inside the structure. So if you try to change or disrupt or reorganize structures on one level, it will always have an effect on all levels. It's not the same intensity. It depends on the let's say the distance in the fractal structure. So when it's very far away from each other, the effect may be less. But the information that we use in the modulated codes, they are going, I guess they are having an effect in the subtle energy fields of the body, and that belongs to the subconscious.
So could you say that by wearing the REDhealth, there will be a sort of harmonic pattern which your body recognizes as something like this?
Oh yeah, when we were working the first time with the device and finding ways to explain it, I was always saying that it's like a tuning fork. So I think our body is a musical piece. So it's our life is a symphony that is very harmonious and played all the time. And at the time we turn on the CB, it will emit certain tones on different levels that act like a tuning fork and remind the body field that this is how you should sound if you want to make sure that everything is optimized.
Okay. You were talking about making your REDhealth more personal by personalization and tuning into your own vibration. And you were also talking about a CB. CB is for Circadian Balance. And there's also something with Bluetooth. Maybe can you explain a little bit about how it's working and how you create that personalization?
The first thing I do now is I show a device into the screen, and what you can see is that there is one button, and this is not a CB, this is something we test at the moment. There is one button and there are some lights. And with the one button, we operate what is called the boost programs. So these are longer cycles of protocols that are running certain frequency patterns over a certain time. And there is an app, a smartphone app for Android and iOS that operates the device or sets some settings, just like the time. You can name the device, and you can also set the intensity to low, medium, high, or automated. It simply means that on the low setting of the intensity, I think you could go one slide further, Emmerich. Yeah, it makes it bigger. So this is how the app looks on the phone. It says REDhealth and Circadian Balance, and you can see the battery charging sign on the left top and the time which the device gets from the phone. And here you can see the intensity level that can be set for the auto program cycle, but also for the boost programs. No, it's more for the auto program cycle. So low means that all these automated frequency patterns run for 1 minute only. And medium means that it's 2 minutes, high means it's 3 minutes. And the auto setting is that there is a cycle of 3 weeks when you personalize. And during those 3 weeks in the auto setting, it will do the first week on 1 minute, the second week on 2 minutes, and the third week of 3 minutes of duration whenever the device comes on. Because we do not use the CB 24 hours a day in its active function. It only comes on for certain times of the day for short periods of time. And this is the healthy thing, because the biggest problem, and we come to that later, of electromagnetic pollution is the duration of the frequencies, which are not natural. Yeah. So the next step would be that you may have seen a button that says personalized. If you press that and want to personalize, you, of course, to connect the device with your phone, you have to set it on Bluetooth first, both the phone and the device.
Yeah, and I will
it's very easy on the device.
I will share some pictures, Rainer, to show it.
Okay.
This is the app which you will, if you open the app REDhealth on your phone, the first picture will be something like this. Then the second one will be saying that it's scanning for your REDhealth device, and if you turn on the Bluetooth connection, then it says it's connecting with your REDhealth, and then we will come into this first in this part where you already talked about, and there's also the button personalize, and there are also some things about which program is working. The intensity level you already talked about, but also the program which will start at 2 o'clock in the morning. It says over here with the lung liver. Yeah. And it says something which we will talk about later. The different programs you can also set to the button which is on your REDhealth, which is called Program X.
Oh yeah.
But first, can you explain a little bit about what is personalization? How does it work?
Yeah.
What is personalized?
Yes.
Only 1 minute.
When we look that we have what is called a Meridian system, and because everything is vibrating in the body. Also, the meridian system has a frequency pattern, and that is also correlated with an informational pattern. So when we want to personalize our device and press the button for personalization, the device is emitting a section of all Meridian programs for a very short time, and it recognizes if it can find a resonance match. And when there is a resonance match, the little crystals I was talking about, they synchronize in a different way to each other. And this is how we can determine, is there a weaker or a distorted, disrupted meridian that we should reorganize or support in its reorganization. And then the normal or the preset automated background program is extended and personalized by some of those patterns of meridians, which are the so-called weakest spots in the body field, and we are just giving off that we miss a little bit more.
And is it only about the meridians, or are there also different things measured or scanned?
Yeah, there are certain fields that are mainly all combinations of meridian fields, and there are some things that are called activating fields or even meridian aligning fields, and this is basically what we're looking for.
Okay.
So it's not only the 12 meridians; it's a little bit more.
There are some boost programs on the device, and if you look at the device yourself, then you will see that there is a calm program, there's a sleep program, there's an ease program, and there is a program X.
Yeah.
What you can do is with the app, you can set program X also to some boost programs, which are called Revitalize, Rejuvenation, Shock, Inflammation, and Travel. And what I would like, Reiner, is to go through all the boost programs and ask you a little bit about it, where to use it for, and what it's doing.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Before we go into that, let me say one sentence to how the device operates when it's turned on. Just by switching on the device, what happens then? So there is when you turn it on, it will start a cycle of 7 days with the automated background programs, and every day of this 7-day cycle, it will use 4 different meridian programs at the time of the day, which perfectly fits into the meridian clock over the 24 hours. And it will use 4 meridians every day, and after 3 days, it's with the 12 meridians, it is one cycle is completed. Then it does the same again with the next 3 days, and then there is one day break. And the frequencies that are used are leading us through the day using certain brain frequencies that are correlated to the brain activity of the time of the day. So in the morning, it's more beta. When we prepare for sleeping, it's more alpha, delta, theta at night. That it follows the daily rhythm that we call also the circadian balance. And then when we press the button once, twice, 3 times, or 4 times, we can turn on 4 different protocols, which run at an average time of 20 minutes each, and they can be used in addition to the automated background programs. how whenever we want to and whenever we feel something is needed. And we have 8 of those, and the first 3 are fixed on the device, and the 4th is the one that is called Program X, which we can see here on the app screen. And there are another 5 of those boost programs: revitalize, reduce, shock, inflammation, and travel. And one of them can be set in the app to the 4th place on the device. So the first on the device is always the calm, the second is sleep, the third is always ease, as it is printed on the device, and the 4th, the Program X, is one that we have set it to. So yeah, let me explain what calm is.
Yeah. Let we start with calm. You need to be very calm if you have a child on your neck like this, and
yeah, it's a little bit tricky and not very nice.
it's a bit tricky.
These things which can always happen.
Yeah. The calm program.
Calm is we could simply call it the mental program. So whenever we feel that we have to calm our mind, to calm down our thoughts, or we feel agitated, irritated, or whatever is going on, I use calm, and it works well. So what it does, it helps to align the fields around the heart. It just calms the emotional stress responses, and it has an effect on the connective tissue and makes it more coherent again. So it simply just gives it supports meditation, even if we want to. So you can use it together with meditation. But whenever you feel that you are stressed mentally, just turn it on and have it run. Yeah.
And the program sleep. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are having sleeping problems, and of course, some people are very having a problem with going to sleep, and some people are not sleeping through the night. So, what does the program sleep do?
Yeah, the sleep program affects parts of the brain which are related to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And what all these programs do is they reorganize the patterns. So it's not a drug. It doesn't have the effect of a pill. It just helps to reorganize the patterns for a natural sleep or for a natural calming down. So there is never any side effect of not being able to drive a vehicle or do something. This is important. And the sleep helps the brain areas that are related to sleep centers. It also supports cell energy, because sometimes we're just too tired to be able to sleep. And because during sleep we also rejuvenate, and this is also a pattern in that protocol which supports rejuvenation of exhausted organs, exhausted connective tissue and muscle system. And
so it's not
of course,
only
you can combine things. You can first run. Yeah, for sleep, you could even run calm and add the sleep protocol to it. It just would work. Find out what works best for you.
Yeah. So it's not only helping you sleep better, but it's also helping you to rejuvenate during the sleep.
Yeah. Then this is what sleep is for. and we need to get down into the deep sleep to turn on the rejuvenation, really. Yeah. So the next one is...
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. The next one is ease. Can you tell something about, because ease, everyone knows what ease is, and what is it doing?
Yeah, in the opposite to the mental calming, we could say this is the tissue calmer. So in all situations where we feel pain, or after we had an injury and created some inflammation, but mainly it's a pain reaction, because this protocol not only calms the mind, it supports regeneration of tissue, especially healing, but it also calms the nervous system, which is related to how we experience pain. And that's why we can use this in any situations where we feel pain as a support. Of course, when we have cut ourselves and we are bleeding, we have to have the proper medical support before we can use the CB device to support healing.
Can I say that it's supporting the ability of the body self-healing process? Is this what it does?
Yes, of course. We need energy, and this is why we have cell energy, which is a support for the mitochondria. And pain is always a sign of lack of energy. Not only a signal from the nervous system that something's wrong, but if we lack energy, it will also create pain, and this is what we need it for. Yeah.
There's also a program which is called Revitalize, Reiner. Revitalize, of course, everyone knows what it is, but how could we use it? And where could we use it for?
Revitalize, you can see again here that there is mitochondria activation and ATP production. This is used to support the tissue in its regeneration. So when we have overused it, when it's degenerative, when it is exhausted, it doesn't need to be painful. We want to rebuild things. We want to recharge the battery of the tissue, of the organs. Then we can use it everywhere where we think this area. It may be a joint, it may be our back or head, that we feel we have to recharge it and support regeneration, make it life again, vital again, then we can use this one. And of course, this can also be combined with the ease program when there is pain related to this situation. So just turn it on, try it, and find out what's better for you. It never can cause any harm.
So it's always about the experience, that you need to find the experience yourself. Yeah,
we are all a little bit different, and we are not always aware of what has caused the problem. So sometimes we just may experience pain, and because the tissue is exhausted, so support it instead of calming it is probably better. Yeah, it's a little bit like the ease is more for acute things, and the revitalize may be better for long-lasting kind of chronic states.
Yeah. There's also a program which is
these
called
are the
Shock.
different.
Sorry, there's also a program which is called Shock, Shock. I think I'm very shocked if I look at this picture.
Yeah, we are, and the little guy on the bottom is there as well, so he may watch it. So what happens when we when we experience a shock moment. So it seems that things are just stopping for a moment, and this kind of stop is causing a disruption in how the field would work. And the areas of the body where shocks are experienced is the heart field, and it is some parts of the brain field, which is related to the solar plexus area as well. So and when the heart is stressed through a shock, then the brain will send a signal to the adrenal glands, and it will set free some noradrenaline, norepinephrine, and that will make the heart beat like hell. And this heartbeat is then sending the shock information to all areas of the body. And to prevent this from happening, we can use the shock program, which helps us going through this. You may know the back remedy, the rescue remedy. This is a little bit like the rescue remedy of Bach. So see this as the rescue.
So this is also a program which you could use if you have a stitch of an insect, or if you have it's not only physical but also mental. It's maybe a chemical shock moment.
Yeah, it could be anything. Yeah.
Okay.
It could be anything, because it's the same thing that you would use the Bach remedy for. Yeah. I see the next one.
Yeah.
I see the next one. We were talking about the ease and pain. And very often pain, of course, is related to inflammation. And this is, again, such a case. The inflammation program supports the repair of the connective tissue. And it's more supporting the inflammation to do its work in the healing process. And this is where we can use it for. So it would activate the cell energy, it would support rejuvenation, and calming the tissue means making it more coherent, align it, and help the body to get the structures right again.
So this is a very important one, because there are a lot of people who have lots of inflammation processes in their body. This is something which you can use a lot.
Yeah, you can use a lot, and you could do things like when something happens to you, and you are shocked, and you are in pain, and there's an inflammation. So you can use all those programs. You may decide, okay, I use the ease first, then I use the shock, and then I use the inflammation, and then you can repeat it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And see what works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got
this is a
story which I want to share, because there was one person who bought a REDhealth device, and she used the REDhealth with this problem. She was bitten by her dog, and at the first day you can see with the number 1 that was a very nasty wound. And then after 4 days, by using the program not only with shock but also with ease and with rejuvenation, the repair of the wound was very, very good. And usually it takes a long time before such a wound will heal. So it was very nice to see.
Especially, I'm not sure if anyone could hear what you said. So it was a dog bite.
Yeah, dog bite.
Because we had some connection issues when you said this.
It was a dog.
And we all know that, and we all know that these kind of injuries when animals bite us, they can be quite nasty sometimes. So healing this in 4 days to such an extent is really great.
And for you, as an orthopedic surgeon, you know that it sometimes takes a lot of time to heal.
Yeah, it can go up to 2 weeks sometimes. And of course, we are not making any claims. So the person healed herself, and we only gave it some support.
Yeah. There is a program which is called Travel. Can you talk a bit about how to use it and when to use it?
Oh yeah, this travel program is a nice one. I love it. The whole device, the CB device, is called Circadian Balance. And what happens when we travel? When we sit on an airplane, not so much when we drive the car, but it's the same thing. We suffer a kind of a jet lag, which is a phase difference between the right times of the day. So we are not aligned at the right time of the day with the local fields. And this is causing stress, of course, to the body. But there's also another aspect. Every time we travel, we are exposed to electromagnetic frequencies, artificial ones, that may be in a car, that may be on an airplane, that may be in a train, or even on a ship. It really doesn't matter. And when we travel by airplane, we also are exposed to ionic radiation from the cosmos, that the atmosphere is not absorbing on the high altitude. So what we want to do is really align our fields again with the local fields in which we are. We want to protect us from the damage that electromagnetic frequencies, unnatural electromagnetic frequencies, can cause. And we also want to do the same thing and repair the damage or the distortion that was created by ionic radiation. And this is what the travel program is for, together with keeping us emotionally and stressless in our mind as well. Yeah, because traveling is also always stressful because of the factors I just mentioned.
So it's a great function for people who fly a lot.
Yeah, but also for commuters, even if you have to drive an hour to your workplace.
Yeah. And what about shift workers? If you are a shift worker, then you also have a problem with.
Yeah.
Then you can use this program too.
I just wanted to. Yeah, I just wanted to bring up another example which relates to shift workers. Mm-hmm. It may also be after a long night, after when you have a birthday party. This is a little bit like shift working. Or maybe.
It is.
Yeah, but especially for shift working, yes, because shift working is a kind of jet lag, but also watching TV and looking into the blue colored screens that imitate morning light and bring morning light into our eyes that are expecting red light of the sunset, is also creating a jet lag. So travel is even good for that.
Okay. Nice to hear. You see a picture of the meridians, and because I'm working a lot as an osteopath over here, I know that our body is usually made of water. Meridians are also water. That's why they call them primovascular systems. And now we know that the water is carrying a lot of information. So it must be so that the REDhealth will work on every system which is connected not only to the connective tissue but also to the meridians. Um, I've got some pictures. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what's happening on the different days when you use the REDhealth.
Yeah.
So the REDhealth will help you to align during the days with several meridians, and it starts with day 1 and day 4.
Yeah. As we said before, what we are talking about now is what happens when the so-called background automated programs are running in their 3-week cycle, of which every cycle is 1 week. So we have day 1 and we go up to day 7, and then it's repeated 2 times again before the device would stop that cycle. And on day 1, as I said, the gallbladder meridian is the one which runs first when we have switched on the device and haven't done anything to it. It will run especially at midnight, because the gallbladder meridian is active from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And the CB then will provide the information for that meridian at actually midnight when the time is set right with the phone. So that's something that needs to be done first, that the device should know what time it is. And then it will go to the next meridian, which is at 6 o'clock in the morning. So there's always a 6-hour break, and 24 hours, it's 4 times 6. So the next is the large intestine, which will run at 6 o'clock, and then the heart meridian is the one that is opposite to the gallbladder, that is not running on midnight, but at midday at 12 o'clock. And then we have the next one at 6 o'clock in the evening. And that happens on day 1 and day 4 of the week cycle. Yeah. And day 2 and 5 is similar. We jump one step further. 2 hours later this time, the liver meridian will start at 2 a.m. at night. And then it jumps from to 8 o'clock in the morning, which is that right? Yeah, seems so.
Yeah, it is.
I'm having trouble with counting. So the small intestine is again 2 hours later compared to the heart meridian. So that will be active at 2 o'clock. And then the pericard meridian, that will then run at 8 o'clock in the evening. So we have to check out that second line. I think the spleen, pancreas, something that must be something that is active from 7 to 9. We need to check the slide.
Okay, we will.
Yeah, day 3 and 6, and that is doing the lung meridian from 3 to 5 in the morning, and then it should also go always 6 hours further. So we have to look at this one as well. So after 3 days, we went through the cycle of all 12 meridians according to the meridian clock. And then for the next 3 days, the cycle repeats. and then at day 7 we will experience a day of rest.
This is
It doesn't.
a picture which I know because this is me, and it's
Yeah,
during my resting period in a yin yoga pose. So at the 7th day, the red health is doing nothing. It's resting.
yeah, yeah.
And why? Why
It's
is it resting?
just give the body the opportunity to self-organize and not react to any correcting information.
Hmm?
So it's always when we expose the body field through an impulse, which it basically is all the time. It will always vibrate, and then it will stop and arrange everything. And it's always good to have a break, as we all know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We don't have a lot of time left, Rainer. We still have 2 or 3 minutes. But maybe there was a question. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how does it something when we are exposed to 5G? You already talked about electromagnetic
Yeah,
smog and that
yeah,
sort of things.
yeah.
5G?
So yeah, so it's all artificial electromagnetic frequency, and it the frequency is only secondary. Um, what the biggest problem is always the exposure time, and it can be 50 hertz, or as it is in 5G, it may be 60 gigahertz. If it's too long, the body will always react to it, and it will always be disrupted. The difference with 5G is that it is a very high frequency, and because we know that higher frequency means more energy, so it has a bigger effect. It also has a smaller wavelengths, and it will affect smaller and smaller parts of our body, even inside the cell, because it goes down to millimeter ranges of wavelengths. But it's the energy and it's the exposure time. And what the device does is it cannot stop 5G. It cannot neutralize 5G. But what it does, it supports and helps our body field to reorganize itself during or after any kind of being exposed to those fields. For 5G, I would also suggest, but this is also true for 4G and Wi-Fi and even Bluetooth, that at least at night we should be protected from it. And if we ever can, we could try and live in an environment where there are many trees around the houses, because the smaller the wavelengths, the better all kinds of trees will protect us. And in your communities, think about protecting your trees from being cut down if you can. You can also decide and build a bedroom that is made of wood if you want to, or shield it with protecting foils that you can bring out to the wall or to your window. These are all things that can be done, and the CB device will support you in regeneration from being exposed. This is what it does with all kinds of electromagnetic frequencies.
Thank you. This is very, very nice that you
Yeah.
explain this. There's a program which is called rejuvenation. You talked a lot about it,
Mm.
and a lot of people like to rejuvenate to get young again. Will this program make me young again?
What is being young? So I think age is a lot related to the coherence in connective tissue structure and water content. So this is important. So what you need to do is to make sure that you don't have too many wrinkles. Hydrate, rehydrate, and make your connective tissue coherent again. That can be done through mechanical work like myofascial work, and you can always add the rejuvenation program to it. The other thing is that all kinds of trauma create adhesions in the body, in the field, but also in the tissue. So releasing trauma through information in the subconscious will also help to keep you young. And supporting the mitochondria with cell energy is just the same thing. So there are different levels of anti-aging put into the rejuvenation protocol.
Mm. Sounds nice. Sounds nice. The last minutes, I think it's nice to talk a little bit about a device which was also created for our animals and our friends, pets. And I would like to go to our cat. Our cat has a pet REDhealth pet device, and this pet device is really an outcome because when he is wearing it, he is much more quiet and he is much more in his environment. When we were moving out to another house, he was so anxious because he didn't know where we were going. And when we put the device on, we saw that the cat was much more quiet and more relaxed, and that pulling out the hairs were which he started with was disappearing when we put this device on. So a lot of animals like it very much if they have a device which helps them to restore their calmness. And maybe Rainer, you can tell us something about all the things which are in it, because this is not a personalized device. This is just a device where there are some programs repeating during the days, during a week program.
Yeah. So this animal or pet device for horses and cats and dogs has a week cycle, and at the different days, from day 1 to day 6, several programs which you can see on the slide, like aligning the fields, changing or supporting a polarity, the charge, support with electrosmog and calm stress and balance emotions and keep inner peace. These are repeated through the different days at certain times automatically. And in addition to the CB doesn't have it, but animals have the problem that even when they are brought to different environments, as you just said, Emmerich, they react with anxiety and they feel irritated and unsafe, basically unsafe. And this is why Bruce had come up with the idea that there are 4 Bach blossoms which could be used for the animals which they would like most. And there's the impatience for relax, the red chestnuts, which is the fear for others, and the mimulus, that is enjoying life without being exposed to dangers, and the wild rose, finding your purpose. And this is all making our animals even feel better. But if you think you would use that for yourself, you could even do that.
And it's also useful for not only cats, but also dogs. And you talked also about horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Great. Last one. There is also a sport device, and it's a bit different than the CB. This is specially made for sport people, and I know this is a lady who is skating a lot over here. And it's helping her a lot. But you've got a story for yourself to talk about the sport device.
Yeah. So the sport device was developed to be very simple. There are no background programs. It's one of the simplest devices we have. You can just press the button and you have 3 boost programs on it, 3 protocols, and the names are pre, go, and post. And this is all for sports activities or even mental activities. Personally, I love it a lot. I mainly use it when we drive long rides with a car, and I often use the go and the post because that helps with energy and rejuvenation. But we also gave it to a friend of ours in Hungary, and she's part of the national golfers team of Hungary, and they took it to a championship and used it during the during the training, and they really loved it. So we had very good responses from those participants who used it. They're not all the youngest, they're not the biggest profi athletes, so it's not profi golf, and they all have their headaches, and they are not calm enough. They have their little aches and pains everywhere. So they really loved it, and they had better results with it even.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have come to the end of this explanation about REDhealth, and I'm sure if people want to know more, they can find more information on www.redhealthware.eu. But for the persons in Japan, I'm sure there is a website over there in Japan with REDhealthware, and people can find also all sorts of information at the office of REDhealth in Japan. Thank you very much, Reiner. I will bring this presentation down, see if I can do this. That's always difficult. It's always difficult to get it on, but also to bring it down. Stop sharing.
Yes. We're making progress.
Yeah, it is. But for now, can I find you again?
I can see you.
You can see me. I can see only that it stopped screen sharing, so I don't see anything anymore. But I would like to thank you, Reiner, for being here and for sharing your information. And I hope we can do this again, and then maybe go into a specific detail of the REDhealth, and then again inspire everyone who will listen to it.
Yeah, what I was thinking, what we did today was more inspiring than a manual. So maybe we next time we do a manual.
Yeah, true.
And
that's good.
And then we go into detail as well.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Well, we took only 14 minutes later, so I think 75 minutes in total is great.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Emre.
Thank you very much. And I will shut down this